Hi everybody, welcome to this evening's live stream, a clearing guide for parents and guardians. My name is Richard, I'm a parent, so I can answer any of your questions you've got parent to parent, but I'm also joined here today with some university teams and also some students that will be answering questions on clearing. This is a really important time for your son or your daughter, so this is about going to university and going at a very different time through clearing. So loads of questions hopefully you'll be asking. Pop them in the chat. We're going to answer them all at the end and we'll try and get through as many as possible. But right now I'm just going to introduce you to the panel that we've got tonight.
Hiya, so I'm Valija Fatima, I'm in my year 3 and I'm studying social work.
I'm Lazarus, I'm a first year psychology with criminology student.
And I'm Carla, I work in the inquiries team and I've been here for about 20 years, so supporting parents and students for all of that time through clearing.
And my tablet has died, so I'm going to go straight to Carla and ask her to cover off really what is clearing all about.
So I'm going to break it down a little bit, I think, to try and help some of the understanding around the practical elements of clearing and then maybe some of the supportive elements of clearing on a kind of a technical level. So what is clearing to start with? Clearing is a process where students can apply to university. Now, there's different scenarios of students that can apply. So typical clearing, you may or may not have heard of clearing already. So clearing used to be designed for students that potentially didn't get their grades through kind of in cycle when they've done their A-levels or when they've done their BTECs. They might not quite get the grade that they wanted for their choices of university. In the last few years, clearing doesn't actually mean that. It means something a whole lot more. So clearing is actually about opportunity. So there'll be some students or some children out there that don't get the grades that they want, and clearing's great. Clearing's a brilliant opportunity to have a rethink and research some new options and then reapply. It's also for those people that have decided maybe either the course they've originally applied for isn't quite the course they want to do, or it can be for those students that might want to go to a different university. Either way, there are options. So clearing actually has a time frame attached to it. So you've got kind of the main application cycle, and then clearing starts off for UCAS in July. So 5th of July is when it opened for everybody to apply. At DMU, we actually have priority clearing, which started early June and will run right through until early October. So clearing is actually a really long process or a time frame. However, main clearing is what we call main clearing, or UCAS calls main clearing, happens on A-level results day, which this year is the 14th of August. So that's when the majority of students in the UK or in England will receive all of their grades, and they'll know if their decision or their university decision has been made firm or confirmed. So that's what clearing is about in general. So it's about opportunity, really. When I talk about students that potentially want to change their course, there are lots of course availability still. So again, there's a bit of a misconception between courses not being available during clearing or there being a very limited choice. That's not true. I mean, for example, at DMU, we have a lot of our popular courses that will be available. So things like psychology, we've got engineering, we've got nursing, we've got business, computing. So you can kind of start to see that there's a breadth of courses still available. And they're actually available to apply for now. But again, when we get to A-level results day, they'll be available then as well. So that's kind of the basics of it. On a practical level, Rich, do you want me to go into kind of practical levels?
I was going to say that's a really great overview, Carla, but in terms of specifically, who is clearing for?
So it's for students that are doing their level 3 qualifications right now.
Yeah, okay.
So in terms of kind of those two types of students, so the opportunity type, there's actually a third that I missed off. So there's a third type of student in terms of those students that haven't yet applied anywhere. So it might be that actually the year, as we know, in terms of the final year of level 3 can be quite pressurised. So I know that there are students out there that potentially have just been concentrating on getting their level 3s done and not necessarily thinking about what to do when it kind of gets to their next step of higher education. So some of them might have held off making a decision. Well, actually, clearing's a really good opportunity if they start to change their minds.
Yeah.
And it's not just kind of pressures of results and pressures of kind of work. There's a lot going on in a 17, 18-year-old's world at the moment, which I guess is where we can help support you guys, parents or guardians, in terms of, again, what those practical kind of suggestions or techniques might be, but also on a level of understanding in terms of their whole world and what might be going on right now and kind of what the opportunities are, but also understanding kind of where the anxieties might come into play.
Okay, great. And clearing isn't necessarily just for students that have taken their exams in 2025.
No.
This could be somebody that has taken exams last year or the year before and has their A-level results.
Yep.
So it's a really great opportunity as well to come in, having
Yeah.
thought about what they wanted to do with their lives, having realised that maybe they need to get a degree to get the absolute opportunity and ambition and realise that ambition that they want. So it's a great time as well for students that aren't necessarily studying this year, that have had maybe a career break, maybe a travel break or whatever it is, to come back in.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% actually. So, and you're quite rightly saying that it could be students that didn't make a decision, so they might have taken a gap year, but also it might be complete career changes. That is absolutely correct. And in terms of type of students that we have here at DMU, the age range varies so much. So it's not just about kind of the fresh late teens coming into university. There's a whole opportunity for all of that kind of life cycle in terms of career changers people as well. So for parents supporting young people coming to university, yeah, this is kind of really critical, but there's a whole mix of people that would be applying via clearing. It's huge. There's thousands of people.
Yeah,
that
there's
want to
loads
go
of
to clearing.
opportunity, and it's a really important decision at this time. But there's loads of people at DMU that are here to help and support, and I think that's the main thing. And I know, Carla, you've spoken to a lot of families in the past through this whole process. And what would you say now to the guys that are looking through now and looking into what we're talking about? What would you say to them in terms of to reassure a parent who is watching and not really understanding the process? What are the key things?
The first one I would say is you don't have to have gone through the process yourself. So there are loads and loads of parents and guardians that haven't experienced university at all. So that would be kind of my first piece of reassurance, that you don't have to know every technical bit of the process. The second piece of information, advice I would give is that there are lots of kind of support systems for you, not just your child/student or whoever you've got guardianship over. So universities like DMU, we have a clearing line, and on the clearing line are some very experienced advisors that can give you advice not just about how to go through clearing, so it's not just for your child or whoever you've got guardianship over to call, it's for parents, it's for you as well. We can talk to you about the clearing offer, so we are not getting an offer at a university, but we can also talk to you around the kind of the support aspects too. So second piece of advice would be to call us. I mean, we can tell you bits of information on here, but if you want a kind of a full conversation or you've got a list of questions, which again is a really good thing to do, get your ideas down on a bit of paper and then call us, DMU, or a university of interest and talk through it. So you can kind of get a really good understanding about not just the processes, but what to expect. So whether it's results day or whether it's beyond results day, and then you can kind of get that all tied up, not in a nice bow, all tied up, ready to then help support your student, your child, your guardianship. I will get to the right phrase for that one shortly.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I mean, thank you, Carla, that's really helpful. I'm going to sort of move now to the students that have been through it. So we've got Lazarus, who came in last year through clearing.
Yep.
And we've got Venetia that has done 3 years now since clearing, but you both came through the same process. I don't know who wants to go first, and probably tell us a little bit about it. Lazarus?
Yeah, sure.
Go for it.
So I decided to go through clearing initially because my grades weren't where I wanted them to be, but also I hadn't done enough research into my chosen universities, and the second choice of university that I had chosen, which is the only one I could have gotten into with my grades, I didn't particularly want to go to, because as I say, I hadn't done enough research on it. I didn't like the style of teaching or whatever. So I decided to go through clearing, and it was much more straightforward than I thought it was going to be. My God, I sent a message to a WhatsApp number, and I got a response within the day, and I got an offer the next day, and
Wow.
now I'm here.
Brilliant.
I feel like for me it was like quite course specific. So for social work, back in the day you had a non-academic requirement, which was about having 250 hours of care experience.
Okay.
And I just didn't have that when we were applying for unis in college. But obviously we had a summer break, and over the break I got a job and I get to have that experience. So sort of just wanted to try my luck on clearing day when we got our results. I called in. Luckily for me, there were a few places left on the course, so I got an interview, and that's how I got an offer. And I think DMU as well, I think it was a bit of an obvious choice for me because I've lived in Leicester, so I've got friends and family here, and you need that sort of support system when you're doing a degree. It came really handy for me, so I think it was a bit of an obvious choice for me.
Brilliant. Thank you both. Something you mentioned about when you were talking process, because probably we could tell everyone that's watching what it's like, because for you both as students, you know, it's how do you feel on that day, and what do you do? Because I'm sure you were very well supported by DMU, and that is key, just making sure that you get in touch with the right people and you stay calm. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, when I got my results, it was on results day that I messaged in. But when I got my results, I remember feeling this horrible sense of dread that I was going to have to skip a year, I would have to apply to uni next year, I would have to retake exams and all of that, and I really, really didn't want that, because I didn't want to be a year behind.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of research. I talked to some of my teachers who were kind of there to reassure me, oh, you can always go through clearing, and gave it a shot. And I think there are 3 methods.
Yeah. Do you want me to help with
Yeah,
that one?
please, yeah.
Yeah.
I only know about the texting one.
No, it's fine. And WhatsApp is a brilliant method because obviously it's straight through to the inquiries team that can do all the process. But on results day, you're right, there are different methods to contact us. So the first one is phone call. It's going to be the most immediate. You call our clearing inquiry line. The number is available on the website, and it's available now, but on results day, that's where it will be. I would probably, a bit of advice would be to save the number in advance, because what will happen is the student will go into their hub on UCAS potentially on the morning of A-level results day, so the 14th of August, and they might see a decision there. They won't see any of their grades, but they might see whether the university that they've applied to has accepted them or not. Once they've seen that, and if they have been on their hub, if they've been unsuccessful, they might want to call the university. So in your instance, that was the case.
Yeah.
They may have been successful, but have then changed their mind. So they might want to call the university to see if they can gain a clearing offer. So our lines will open at 8 o'clock in the morning. So you'd call the number, and a clearing hotline supporter would answer the call, and they will take you through a series of steps. So it's really important that you help your child, student on the day have the right information. So for example, they need their UCAS number. They're going to be asked for their full name, potentially a clearing number if they've been unsuccessful. They'll have that on their UCAS hub they can log into. And they'll also be asked what course and what their grades are. That's really important because they may or may not have gone into school to collect their grades. So my advice would be to make sure you've got your grades first, because whoever you're going to talk to is going to ask you for that information. So that clearing advisor or clearing supporter that will be on the phone to the student in this case, and actually that's a really good point. So there are the majority of the time, they can only talk to the student about the offer. So whilst it's going to be really, you're going to feel like you really want to make the call on behalf of your child or the student, it's really key that they're there and they make the call. You can always be in the background to help take notes and support them with the bits of information that they need, but it's really super key that they're there making the call. So we'll ask them for the information, and then once we've made the assessment based on criteria that we have for the clearing courses, we will then be able to make an offer over the phone. We call it a verbal offer. So once the verbal offer has gone through on our system, and the clearing support advisor will tell you that that's happened, you'll then receive an email. And the email will have the next steps in there. And essentially the next steps will be to, once UCAS has reopened on A-level results day, it closes down for a period of time, and it's between the 4th or the 8th of August, right up until A-level results day at 8 o'clock in the morning. On A-level results day, there's a period of time where students can't access their hub and they can't make changes. And it's at 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. that they can go on, and then they can go and add their clearing choice, whether it be DMU.
Mm-hmm.
So only at that point can any changes be made on the hub. So that's really key to know. So 14th of August, A-level results day, that's when you can call universities, and then add the clearing choice at 1 o'clock. So as you can see, it's a big time frame between now and the 14th of August.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a lot of research that could be happening in anticipation of either changing minds about going to which university or which course, or if your student is unsuccessful, it's about kind of preparing them for that plan B. It's about how to do the research and kind of what's important to them, having a real think about it. And my colleague Nick's going to come on shortly, and he's going to talk about kind of ways to support practically in terms of that kind of research and other bits of information about the university that you as a parent would need to know, but definitely as a student going through that really kind of like shortened time frame would want to know. Things like accommodation information and what do you do with finance, for example, if you were to change your mind.
Excellent. Okay. I know Nick is going to talk specifically about support, but you started talking about what happens on the day and preparing for it. And from a parent's perspective, Carla, how can parents, guardians help their son, daughter prepare, and particularly how can they support them on the day?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds really... It sounds really blasé of me to say, but staying calm is super important. I mean, I can appreciate, I've helped a lot of parents in the 20 years or so. I understand how stressful it can be for you and how kind of anxious it can be, and feeling kind of like you're not able to actually do anything. That's not true. So staying calm on the day is super, super important, because whatever your child displays, whether they're nervous, whether they're nonchalant, whatever it might be, there's stuff going on there that they may or may not be able to communicate properly. So that's number one. Number two is all of that practical information. So collecting that, making sure that they've got that on a sheet of paper in front of them, ready to make the phone call. And actually having their UCAS hub open with their personal statement on, that's going to really help as well. The other thing I would say is to help them to narrow down their choices and can really, really prioritise what they're wanting. So what they're looking for in a university. So is it location? Is it opportunity? I mean, a work experience is huge, right? So when you go to university, the outcome is about gaining experience for a job or career.
Yeah.
So understanding what the university has to offer in terms of those opportunities. So DMU.
I was going to say, do you want to talk about what we offer? I think specifically in terms of
I mean,
the
amazing.
DMU offer.
I mean, the DMU offer. We're like 11th in the country for our work experience opportunities, and we have a leading careers team. So the careers team support you in terms of all of the work experience elements, but all of the other skills that students would gain, whether it be on campus, student ambassadors, for example, you guys work here, and gaining experience every single day to support your next move on in your CVs. So that's the careers element of it. But there's lots of other opportunities. So block teaching, perfect example. Is the way that the university is delivering the course set up for you? So block teaching at DMU, it's one module, one subject at a time. So the student can concentrate on just doing that and focus and then move on and then move on. So it's very modular. And in terms of kind of the way that some of the learners think, I'm dyslexic, that would have been perfect for me when I was at university. Yeah. And I can just kind of move through and know that all I have to do is concentrate on one thing at a time. Some universities offer that now, some universities don't. Some do kind of like 6 modules in a term. So it depends how the learner wants to, or the student wants to work.
No, that's superb, Carla. And again, I think you've talked about a load of the benefits of DMU. My daughter came, she's dyslexic, so I know there's loads of learning support here for students, which is fantastic. Block teaching wasn't around then, but I think the way block teaching is set up now, it really does help the student understand what they've got to do in the time frame they've got to do it. They get loads more tutor time, so there's a really great support network with block teaching. And at the end of it, employability. So, like you said, we are number 5.
In terms of employability, so we've got number 1 careers team.
Number 1, and then fantastic. Yeah. Superb. Glad you corrected me on these things. And I think this is a great time now to talk about employability. We've got a video that the team are going to play now, so we'll take a short break and just enjoy this little video now while we get the next guest in. Thank you.
I'm going to ask you some questions about employability and careers and how your time at DMU kind of helped shape what you do now. Were you involved with Unitemps at all?
Yes, so I helped with a lot of the marketing campaigns. So there was a student campaign that I was on, and it was a really nice experience to connect with actually different students from different courses. And I felt like it was really nice to build skills that I didn't necessarily have before. And it was really great as a student because money-wise, that's like an extra little bit in your pocket, which is lovely. What was really nice is that you were given opportunities, and there was quite regular opportunities to work, which is really nice. It built different skills in me. It was really lovely to work with Unitemps. It was a really nice and smooth application. You just went into the SU. I did it with all of my friends. Yeah, I also through Unitemps was helping as a student ambassador. I helped with the open days quite a lot, and that was really lovely. I think it made you feel more of a sense of community extending beyond your dance course, because like I said, you're connecting with different people from different courses and you're representing the uni, and it feels really nice to be able to represent them.
So I think whilst you were studying at DMU, one of the things you got involved with was our graduate champion scheme.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the DMU Graduate Champion Scheme is a programme by which when you've graduated, you can reconnect to the university and get the opportunity to connect with maybe a company, connect with maybe an organisation and work with them on this scheme. And I'm so incredibly grateful for it because it actually catalysed a job that I now actually have in Leicester at Curve Theatre.
So what advice would you give a student, or current or prospective, who's thinking about approaching careers team or being a student ambassador or going for an opportunity through Unitemps?
Yeah, I'd say go for it. I'd say go straight up to SU, have a little conversation with them. If you've got any queries, definitely go up there. I think that it's really great to feel a sense of you're connected to different parts of the university. Really, really great if you don't have a job whilst you're at uni at like somewhere else. You can work for the uni, which is lovely. And yeah, creates like a sense of pride, creates a sense of connectivity. So yeah, I would say definitely do it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Hi again, hope you enjoyed that video. So now we've got Nick in the room, and we're going to be talking a little bit more specifically probably about clearing day and how you as parents can support on clearing day. So I'm going to pass over to Nick now, and he's going to really just go into a little bit more detail than, Carla covered it, and Nick's going to go into the real what can you do on the day.
To the detail, fab.
To the detail.
Yeah, no, I think Carla did cover quite a bit of that, but I think that prep is really important. So kind of prior to the day, ensuring that you've got some good prep behind you is really going to help. But then on the day itself, I think ensuring that you kind of are really objective in what you want to kind of get out of the calls, you've got a bit of a plan in place, and you are being that reassuring support to that person looking to get the place. Because as Carla touched on earlier, I know that it's a time where people are changing their mind or trying to figure out what that next step is, understanding how the journey looks for them. So I think being that voice of reassurance and calmness, but also objectivity is really important and can help in ensuring that you're kind of making the most of that day. And I'd also say it's really important to know some of those key things about the institutions that you're reaching out to and contacting. So an example could be, if you're looking at DMU, whether you lived in Leicester or didn't, knowing that you are, for example, offered guaranteed accommodation. If you are made an offer and you could stay within our accommodation, I think knowing the questions that you want to be asking are really important as well.
I think that's a key thing, Nick, and again I think it's a very important thing for parents to be reassured that there is accommodation, and that's something that DMU definitely offer.
Absolutely, yeah. So on clearing, if you contact us for a clearing offer, you'll be made, our first years are made guaranteed accommodation offers, which is really a massive plus with a clearing offer, and can be kind of, it's a stress out of your mind that actually you've got a place, but you've also got somewhere you can stay.
Yeah.
It's another thing you've not got to think about. Have you guys stayed in accommodation?
I haven't. I'm living with my dad.
Yeah, I live at home as well.
Okay, so
Perfect.
No, but I get it as a parent. So you know what you just said. You know that reassurance. You know, if you haven't got somewhere to stay, so if you were coming from further afield, or if your parents weren't nearby, whatever it was, that reassurance that DMU offer all first years that are starting is superb, I think. So, and again, it was a huge weight off my mind to know that my daughter has got safe, clean security in DMU.
yeah, and I think as well, it's easy to forget sometimes that it's such a big decision and such a big step, and these things can really be quite anxiety-inducing and worrying and concerning. So I think just being that support, ensuring that they're utilising the channels that they have. Often schools and colleges have contact people available on that day, so just ensuring they know what those channels are on that day and being that reassuring shoulder on the day, but also I think letting them take ownership for kind of the next step and that next exciting step in their kind of academic and life journey as well. So.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Nick. Felicia, Lazarus, I'm going to ask you both. Prep before, sounds like you were probably quite prepped. Probably hadn't prepped as much.
Not at all.
How were your parents on the day? Were you calmer, or was it the parents that were sort of, right, you need to do this? So where did sort of the voice of reason come from? And when you got through to DMU, what did you find was the most helpful?
So, my dad doesn't live with my mum, and at the time I was still living with my mother. So, she was I think more excited than I was for me to get my results. I was terrified because I knew in the back of my mind this isn't going to be what I want it to be. But she was really excited, which it actually was a help. I'd say it was a massive help, because it kind of showed me that at least if I wasn't being ecstatic over the moon about getting these results, that at least somebody was that invested in my future.
Yeah.
And she urged me to do all the prep work, and I just didn't. For God only knows what reason. I'd please do the prep. I'd recommend it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you're so busy with other things,
Yeah.
studying in particular and making sure you get the grades and working hard and all of that. So, thinking about universities is another thing to do. And again, it's not always something that you plan so well for, or think, I need to think this through a bit more. How was it when you got through to the team at DMU on the day, though? Did you find them really supportive and helpful?
Quite, yeah. As I said before, I went through the WhatsApp messaging channel to get my clearing offer, and the person who was texting me back, who was telling me about what I'd need to send and what I could do, it was quite reassuring having somebody who just knew all of the facts and who knew what I wanted or knew objectively what I could do. He was, you send this and this and this and we'll see if we can get you an offer.
Brilliant.
It was amazing.
Oh, fantastic. Valeria, how was it for you?
I feel like my parents, like, they were stressing, but they were trying to act like they weren't. So I don't stress, but I'm quite a calm person. I like to prepare myself, so I wasn't that stressed. But obviously you are anxious about the results. You know, you've studied for like 2 years and you've given exams and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, I think I was pretty prepped. I had all my UCAS ID, I know the number I was going to call and stuff, I had saved it as well, so I knew which one I was going to call, and the course that I wanted to do, I was quite clear about that as well. So I think that really helped, because when I did get the results and I was kind of trying to refresh that page, once I did get it, that I could just literally call right away and get that space in. So I think having that prep really helped. Because whether you can help it or not, you are going to be anxious by the results day, but just having these little things at that time, you panic a lot less, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think as well, I would just add in there that I think that's why DMU's kind of priority clearing is so good, because it means all those stresses that you had on the day and all the stresses that students have on that day of phoning, you can reach out to DMU beforehand and get your offer. So clearing kind of your results day can be more of that confirmation rather than that clearing phone call. So I would personally be really encouraging parents, carers, supporters to be reaching out tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock and asking about architecture and law and psychology and all those courses that are available now for offers.
Yeah, superb. No, thanks. Thank you both, and thank you, Nick. Is there anything, Nick, that you want to cover off before we sort of move to Q&As and...
No, I think there may be some questions in the chat. I think we've covered most things. I think touched on accommodation, haven't we? That's
it's been the perfect panel. That's the thing.
That's a key part. But I think with clearing and I guess making those big decisions, outcomes and understanding the offering of that institution is really important. And I think knowing the opportunities that your learner has access to is really key, and I would just really encourage students, but also parents and carers and supporters to be researching things like the opportunities, that our career service offers. I think that's such a great offering. I think to know you've got guaranteed work experience opportunities and kind of the outcomes of some of the courses, it's just worth that research, so it makes that clearing process smoother. And ultimately, it makes that decision making easier for you and your learner. So.
Yeah, no, it's definitely true. Exactly what you're saying. Support is here throughout. I mean, priority clearing is open now. You can call any time and get that information, do that early prep, and then when you get here, the support is there all the way through, right the way through from your block teaching, from your academic support, but also you've got anything to do with mental health support. You've got clubs, societies. Everything you could think of that you want to get involved in and be supported on is here at DMU, right the way through to employability. And that just doesn't finish when you graduate. The employability team are there to support you beyond graduation as well, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You become you're offered career service for life, so you have access to that as part of the DMU service. But exploring, I think, all that the institution has to offer, I think it's really important, a kind of key part of that research as well. And at times parents look for different things as well, so maybe as a parent you want to know how safe a city or a campus is, and I think we're really fortunate the way our campus is located right next to the city but not directly in it. We're super safe as a university. We're a safe, friendly, diverse community, so maybe as parents we'd want to be understanding that better. Interestingly, I found out that we've got over 800 cameras on campus keeping our students safe, which I hadn't realised. But
I didn't know that either.
We're a really kind of safe institution and a safe place for students to be.
Yeah.
To be
it was a key thing. I was hosting on the open day for June, And the questions that came in from parents was, is this going to be a safe area for my son, my daughter? And you can I didn't know about the cameras. I'm going to add that to my spiel next time. But in terms of like on-site security, security within your accommodation, 24/7, whatever it may be, I think that is a really massive plus. And yeah, come here. The campus is beautiful. It's a really beautiful little campus, and again, such a vibrant, multicultural city of Leicester as well to explore beyond if you wish. So yeah.
Absolutely. I think we've got questions.
We've got questions coming in. Okay.
I've got a couple of offline questions for you. Sorry, Sam, you get another tablet.
That's okay. Double tablets. Okay. So the first question, I'll put it to, I know Carla, you're sitting over there, but I'll put this one to Nick. How long do universities take to respond to clearing applications generally?
To clear an application, so generally you're made an offer. I think Carla touched over the process earlier, but if you contact us, you can be made an offer over the phone. And then on the back of that, you'll then get an email, which ensure you read that email in full, because that will give you all the information that you need to kind of follow up with your application. But that is very quick, because we're at a point in kind of the cycle where we're processing a lot of applications. That is done very quickly. It will then just be applicants sending over things like their certificates to evidence that they kind of have got the grades that they've told us that they've got.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Nick. Now, I don't know who the guru is on student finance.
Fine.
I'm going to go to you, Nick, because you're in the chair.
Go.
So the question is, what happens to student finance if my child already has a course offer but applies to another university in clearing?
Yeah, absolutely fine. So when you apply for student finance, you just nominate an institution or an institution and a course that often is your firm choice, but you will have put one down as part of your application, but that finance isn't then sent over to the institution that you've gone with until you've enrolled. So all you do is update your choice with Student Finance England, and then that money is sent over to the correct institution, and they'll check that as well. But there's a lot of students who change their mind from point of application, or maybe don't get the course they want, or just have, are part of that changing pool of decision makers. So that's just a case of updating it with Student Finance England. It's a really easy process to do.
Thank you. Brilliant, Nick. Okay, I think that's actually it for questions, unless there's any come in through the live stream. Thank you so much for joining. It's been a really great session. Thank you, guests, and Carla, over in the distance over there. Been a great session. We are going to post a few things. So before we sort of wrap it, we're going to put on an information for parents and guardians. It's a link to our website. So again, have a little look at that. It's a great link, loads of information there. And also, there's a very friendly inquiries team, and they're here to help at any time. So again, that information is going to go on to the live stream as well, in terms of getting in touch with our inquiries team. So I'm just going to say thank you very much to Nick, thank you to Carla, and of course our wonderful students that came in through clearing just last year and 3 years ago, and going on to a great career.
Yeah.
Superb. So thank you all for joining, and hopefully see you in clearing.